staying healthy, staying sexy, staying young is what living life is all about. And if you have doctors that have proven treatments that keep people young and healthy so they don't get sick, um, you want people to know about these treatments and that they exist.
This episode is brought to you by Gainswave. Gainswave is a treatment done at your doctor's office to optimize erection quality without the need of Viagra, Cialis. It's non-surgical, there's no needles, and it has an amazing success rate. To find a Gainswave provider, go to gainswave.com. That's GAINSWAVE.com. This is Mark L. White for Health Hacks, and today we have Norman Plotkin, a hypnotherapist. And it's interesting because there's a lot of anxiety going on now that there's the pandemic, and I keep reading about meditation. But hypnotherapy is a little bit different, right?
It is. They're very similar. Meditation can, in deep states of meditation, reflect a trance-like state. The hypnosis, there are 3 levels of hypnosis. Hypnoidal, which you go into every day if you're driving home from work and you end up in the driveway and you don't remember the trip. That's hypnoidal hypnosis. Or when you're watching an exciting movie and you feel like you're in it. Then there's catalepsy. That's the state that I work in, which is a little deeper. It's like dreamlike. Your eyes are likely to be in REM, rapid eye movement, and it'll be very dreamlike. That's why imagery journeys are very powerful. And I liken it to thinking of your conscious mind as a Labrador retriever, and I throw it a stick, and it runs off to get the stick, and I'm able to speak to the subconscious mind. Catalepsy is like when you're in a dream, when your hands and feet go to sleep at night. Mm-hmm. And it's an evolutionary response so we don't hurt ourselves or someone else when we're slaying the dragon in our dreams. And then there's somnambulism, which is amnesia-like. But very deep meditation is like a shallow hypnotic experience.
Okay, and we were talking briefly before the show. You're out in Sacramento. You used to work as a lobbyist, which got to be interesting. But tell me how your journey from going from a lobbyist to a hypnotherapist, how did that come about?
Well, I was involved in health policy. I represented physicians as a lobbyist for the Medical Association. But the politics it's a mucky business, and I spent 25 years in it, and it was difficult, and I ended up sick. I got cancer, and initially I just wanted to get back to normal, but as I learned and teachers began to appear, I realized that the normal was what made me sick, and so I left that. I shut down my business and I moved to LA, and while there, again, teachers began to appear, and I began to study folks like Wayne Dyer, The Power of Intention, or Carolyn Meese, The Anatomy of the Spirit, Deepak Chopra, Quantum Healing. And of course, on my own healing journey, I went kind of inward, learned to meditate. And so I found my way there's a nationally accredited college for hypnotherapy in Los Angeles. And I attended, never having been hypnotized, but having read Joseph Murphy's Power of the Subconscious Mind and having, been able to apply my own kind of tactics in my healing journey. And what appealed to me was that it was organic, non-invasive, and most importantly, non-chemical. And so this was my avenue to help people and find my soul's purpose. You can read Eckhart Tolle 10 times, Awakening to Your Essential Purpose, and not awaken to your essential purpose until you do some kind of deep inner work on your own. And I really, to be honest, I found my soul's purpose. I soar when I'm able to help people with complex issues that they've been to everyone else. They've tried pills, they've tried other modalities, and they come in desperation. And it's really about connecting dots in their life and their experience that often they're too close to see. And another big thing is their willingness to write a new story. We hold on with white knuckles to our story, and we can never escape that well-worn path so long as we're invested heavily in our story.
So you can use hypnotherapists to change your beliefs. And then you mentioned earlier you had cancer. Does hypnotherapy work in healing illnesses?
Absolutely. Illness is dis-ease, right? So among my certifications with hypnotherapy I'm certified with hypnotherapy for cancer. And there is a body of research that's not widely accessed, but it's available for those who want to see it, that it's efficacious in the treatment of pain for cancer. Imagery. I mean, I do imagery journeys where I take you into the control room of your mind, and you see the board with all the dials and and you can see that you image the tumor and you can see it shrink. You can reduce the harmful impacts of chemotherapy and have your body cooperate. And you see this cooperation of your body with the therapeutics that you're in. So I don't say don't see your doctor. I don't say don't take the best therapeutic plan for you. What I say is let's engage your powerful body and immune system in the healing process. See, because too often we see it as foreign, but these are your cells and it's your body. Oftentimes, there's a somatic response in the development of disease. And by that, I mean, there's the whole psychosomatic medicine, right? It's all in your head, but it really is in your head to a certain extent. Your body, your every cell in your body is listening to your self-talk, and we can, believe it or not, we can modulate our own neurochemistry. And we can, if the emotional pain is too much at times, we can perceive death as a way out and suppress our own immune system. I mean, look at the placebo effect, right? Every drug that goes to market has to do better than the sugar pill. And the counter to that is the nocebo effect. You can make yourself sick. Do you know that there was a study that something like 70% of medical students experience the symptoms of the maladies that they're studying in medical school? So the mind is a powerful player in our health and our homeostasis.
Did you use your skills as a hypnotherapist to get rid of your cancer?
I didn't. I had to fumble through and make a ton of mistakes. And I wrote a book called Take Charge of Your Cancer, The 7 Proven Steps to Healing and Recovery, because it was, I tripped from one mistake and one, misunderstood thing to another. And I really wanted to share. None of it is groundbreaking. I didn't make up any of these 7 steps, but what I did was it was the collection of things that people do who tend to survive. And so I didn't use it. I found my way to it in my travels through learning about myself and the power of the mind and the power of the body. And I wanted to share it with everybody.
So right now we're going through COVID. And I read somewhere where 1 in 6 people are suffering from some sort of mental illness, anxiety, sleep issues. I would assume hypnotherapy is great for that, but can anybody be hypnotized? And I've seen apps. I've downloaded hypnotizing apps. I've downloaded mind apps. Like, what do you recommend for that?
Well, I've downloaded them too, and I do meditations. YouTube is replete with many different tracks, binaural beats, meditations, hypnotic tracks. The thing is, the conscious mind will reject something. There are 3 things needed for a hypnotic modality: authority, a doctrine or a paradigm, and you have to feel something. So, you see my certificates on the wall. That's my authority. The doctrine of paradigm is the hypnotic modality, and people feel something when they come to see me. Certainly deeply relaxed, and oftentimes much more than that. But let's look at some other examples. Lab coat and stethoscope, the authority. The medical books in medical school is the doctrine or paradigm. Do you feel something when you go to the doctor? It's not a good place to have your blood pressure taken. The whole white coat syndrome. You can be happy about good news, depressed about bad news. So that's a hypnotic modality. Or, the white collar, the good book, any one of them, pick whichever book you want, but they're all good. And do you feel something when you go to church or temple or mosque? People do. This is a hypnotic modality. So the thing is, you have to put your trust. So when I see a client in a consultation, they have to kind of like me. We have to have rapport, and they have to trust that I know what I'm doing. and then we can move forward. If you buy a track or even download a free one, first of all, your subconscious mind is going to assign the value that, so oh, it was a free track on YouTube. Maybe that'll work. Not. So it's better for meditation than to try and quit smoking with a download from YouTube, right? So hypnosis has a major application. You ask, can anybody? The research out of Stanford, there's a Dr. David Spiegel who's doing some amazing research. Used to be all anecdotal. That's why evidence-based medicine rejected largely hypnosis. But now we have functional MRI and other technology that we can measure brain response, and we know what's going on when you're in hypnosis. There are physiological changes. Anyway, so the research with Dr. Spiegel out of Stanford says that in their clinical studies, 80% of people can be hypnotized, 20% can't. And it's largely, and through my experience, that 20% are people who cross their arms and say, you ain't getting in, And so if you don't want to be hypnotized, I can't hypnotize you. Sure, there's parlor tricks, but the people in the Vegas show or the stage hypnosis, they've all volunteered to do that. So when they get up and act silly because they're given a suggestion to do it and they've been put in somnambulism and they don't remember it, they've agreed to do that. Now, back to the study, the 20%, if you just go into a clinical and you haven't agreed to do anything and they just, they're going to try and hypnotize you in a fashion that you haven't agreed to, there's going to be 20% of people who are resistant. Now, in my practice, if you're paying for a session, you don't want to resist me. And I'm very good at, after my years of experience, at spotting resistance. Sometimes it's unconscious, the resistance, showing up late, rescheduling your appointment over and over, being resistant to some of the cognitive conversation where I'm trying to connect dots where, well, maybe this led to that. Well, what was going on in your life when this started? And they're like, well, no, right? So that resistance stuff. So short answer is 80-20 says the research. My experience is 100% if you want to.
Oh, so a lot of people, I think they associate hypnosis with parlor tricks. But you're saying there's new body of research, or I guess the research has been around, where there's a mainstream application for hypnosis.
Absolutely. A ton of stuff coming out of the UK. There's a great place called the Human Givens Project, and they are experimenting with the origins and what's going on with hypnosis and how it can be efficaciously applied. If you do Google, there's a Google research URL. And if you go and use the Google research, there's tons of studies, irritable bowel syndrome, autoimmune disease is treatable with hypnotherapy because these things that have no known origin are somatic responses. We've internalized our emotion when we're not able to process, when we repress and suppress our emotions. Oftentimes because when you have an experience, it creates a feeling, and that feeling creates an emotion, and that emotion is nothing more than a neurochemical response that gets embedded in your body. And then you remember that chemical response. Memory is completely unreliable. If I ask you, well, why do you do that? And you say, well, 20 years ago, this happened. Mm-hmm. But memory is unreliable. So you don't remember, and you would recount the details incorrectly. What you remember is how it made you feel.
Right.
So now you're living this predictable future based on an unreliable past that's robbing you of your precious present moment. And so what I do oftentimes is help people resolve that conflict with that memory, that imprint in their body from some emotion that they experienced before.
So with mental illness, how does what you do, how does hypnosis fit in? Like if somebody's working with a therapist, do you do a lot of work with the therapist, or do you see yourself replacing therapists in some instances, people with depression, anxiety?
Well, so it's very strict. My scope of practice, if what I'm working with has an origin in the DSM-5, then I have to have a referral from the treating psychologist or psychiatrist. Similarly, if someone has a medical condition that they're under the care of a physician with, I need a referral from a physician. these practitioners need to know that people are seeking hypnotherapy, and my scope needs, I need to understand if there are any contraindications from the treating physician or psychologist or psychiatrist. So there is a symbiotic relationship. Now, with that said, undiagnosed depression, I mean, everyone feels a little depressed. Everyone feels a little anxious. It's actually good. It's a human response. It's a message to pay attention to what's going on. The problem is, we live in a 24/7 wired society. When we live in the future too much, we get anxious. When we live in the past too much, we get depressed. Mm-hmm. And so what I teach, I do a lot of coaching and teaching mindfulness and presence. Doesn't mean don't plan for the future. Doesn't mean don't remember the past. It just means stay present as much as you can. This whole COVID thing, there's a lot of depression. There's a lot, people have been locked up. People have lost loved ones and not been able to see them. And there was a recent article in the Mayo Clinic about how hypnotherapy is very good for addressing the, I have to be careful, I can't say treat, the law and the legal part of it, right? You know what I mean? So addressing and helping people with these conditions, it's very, very helpful. And so what does it do? It creates a super relaxed condition. You're super relaxed. I can give you an anchor. So when you're in that deeply relaxed state, I can have you create like just like you would do a worry stone, just rubbing the pads of your finger and thumb together and associate it with that deep relaxation of the hypnotic experience. And you can revivify that relaxation just by doing your anchor. A couple deep breaths, do the anchor by the side of your leg. No one knows what's going on. And suddenly now and what's it about? What it's really about is everyone is walking around with their autonomic nervous system triggered, right? We're all in fight or flight. And what happens when we're in fight or flight? We get an adrenaline dump into our blood, and the blood moves out to the arms and legs so you can run or fight. And now you're walking around with adrenalized blood in your extremities and nothing to do with it. That's a recipe for anxiety.
So can you hypnotize people via telehealth, or do they have to come in and see you?
Oh, no, I've done with Zoom. I've done hypnotherapy with people all over the world.
So if I wanted you to hypnotize me right now, are you able to do it if I, make a conscious effort to not resist?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Let's give it a shot. Yeah. Let's try it.
Okay. Sure. So, sit back and relax. That's it. Yeah. Prop your back up. And I want you to concentrate on your breath. Take 3 slow, deep breaths. Breathing in relaxation. Exhaling any tension, any stress. Nowhere to be, nothing to do, but sit back and relax. The more you listen, the more you relax. The more you relax, the easier it is to go within and access that space where special learning happens. If you haven't already done so, allow your eyelids to close and feel very heavy, drowsy, droopy, and relaxed. Now, under those drowsy, droopy, heavy, relaxed eyelids, I want you to look up to the top of your forehead. And at the top of your forehead, I want you to see the word relax. The word relax at the top of your forehead. See the R and the E, the L, the A, and the X. Relax. See the size and shape of the letters and the placement of the word on the top of your forehead. Now with those heavy, drowsy, droopy eyelids closed, I want you to follow with your eyes as the word relax drifts and floats back and forth across your forehead. Drifting floating, dropping, falling. Now I want you to see the word relax dissolve into a million little pieces, like the dust from erasing a chalkboard, until you can no longer see the word or the letters as they fall out of your mind. And now, visualize yourself at the top of a staircase. Could be oak or mahogany, maybe marble, with a beautiful wool runner down the center. Sturdy handrail to the left, lights above. And there are 10 steps. In a moment, you're going to step off with your left foot. And with each step, you go deeper and deeper into this relaxing state of relaxation. Beginning now with 10, 9, 8, physically releasing, relaxing, and letting go. 7, 6 is an emotional calmness. 5, 4, mentally relaxing now. 3, 2, going deeper and deeper. 1, deep sleep. Each and every time I suggest the words deep sleep to you for the purpose of hypnosis, and with your permission, you go quickly, calmly, completely into a deep state of hypnosis, and your physical body relaxes. At the bottom of the stairs, there's a beautiful park with a bench. You walk over and you sit down on the bench. Sitting next to you is your higher self or your inner advisor. I want you now to have a conversation and listen to what your inner advisor has to say to help you overcome any block, any obstacle that you might have been facing. In a few moments, you'll return with insights about how to steer around anything that's been in your way before, so you can reach higher and higher levels of success. In fact, you're going to have a greater feeling of success, confidence, and happiness in all aspects of your life. And this feeling is going to increase every minute by minute, hour by hour, and day by day. It's time now to come back up out of the state of hypnosis, feeling very calm and very relaxed. I'm going to count from 0 to 5, and with each count, you begin to feel more alert and awake with a positive sense of well-being. At 0, let's shut the door to the subconscious mind and block all negatives. 1, slowly and calmly coming up out of the state of hypnosis. Now 2, mentally aware and physically alert. 3, coming up higher. 4, eyes beginning to open. And 5, eyes open, wide awake. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, eyes open, wide awake. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Man, that was great. That was really cool.
You know, hypnosis means sleep in Greek, but it's not sleep. It's not sleep. You were consciously aware, but deeply relaxed.
Yeah, no, it was amazing how you, like, no, you have a really good hypnosis voice. I can see what you were saying about what you do versus these YouTube videos is a different ballgame.
Yeah. There's a couple guys, they're Australian, and they have that voice, you know, and I'm able to go in. It's the honest guys, I think is, but anyway, but yeah. And you learn, this is part of the nuance about learning the craft, is that there's a tone and a meter. I was slow at times. I was fast at times. I can get paternal. You know what I mean? You need to modulate your voice, and it's all about, it's all about the experience.
That was really good. So when you're working with people, do they have, I mean, like, is it a series of hypnosis to get the best results? Do they come once a week?
Yeah, once a week. Yeah. So, and you know, the The plan of action has to do with how many years they've been dealing with it. I've extinguished a lot of ego from when I was a highfalutin lobbyist, but one of the things that remains is that I want to help you in as few sessions as possible. Of course, this is a business for me, but that's not what it's about. You know, people come to me and they've been in psychoanalysis for 9 years. I'm like, didn't around year 3 you were wondering if this was going to work for you? You know, so I sell packages of 3, 6, and 12. If you want to come in and dip your big toe in, it's, you know, you're not going to get the best experience to come in and think you can quit smoking in one session. I can help people who are ready to quit in one session. But for the most part, if you've never been hypnotized, your dukes are going to be up. You know, you're going to be sleeping with one eye open, so to speak, you know, metaphorically speaking. And so it really is 3, 6, 12, depending on how long you've been dealing with it, how invasive the issue is in your life, and your willingness to write a new story. I've gotten very adamant now with clients about, are you ready to write a new story? Because I want you to be successful. And I'm getting to the place where I jealously guard my success rate, because frankly, I don't want someone coming in and dabbling and saying, oh, it didn't work, because that's a form of resistance, right? If you come in and you don't give it all your all, you can say, I tried hypnotherapy and it didn't work, right?
Yeah,
because they think that
one time and you didn't get what you wanted. You have to commit. It's like anything else.
that's right. But they think it's magic and a silver bullet and stuff. So anyway, I'm fairly firm about that. There's a saying, you know, before you help someone heal, make sure they're ready to give up the behavior that made them sick. So I'm lovingly firm. But yes, it's a usually once a week for 3 to 12 sessions.
And if they're not in Sacramento, you can do it via Zoom or via phone or however.
You know, the old school folks that I learned from in college did it by phone. I need to see, because here's what happens. Your cheeks flatten out and your breathing changes. So I want to observe that moment when your cheeks flatten out and your breathing changes, so that I can get right to the suggestions. I can get you in pretty, as you could see, that was pretty impromptu. I wasn't
quick.
had no preparation, and I took you in fairly quickly, but then I moved you to the park and the bench to your higher self once I saw that you were in hypnosis. See what I mean? So I like the visual. Zoom is the way to go. I don't do phone.
Okay, that's amazing. And you also wrote a couple books. You wrote a book on using hypnotherapy for cancer, taking charge of your cancer.
Yeah, the 7 proven steps are: radically change your diet, learn to meditate, deepen your spirituality, commune with your subconscious mind through hypnosis, release any repressed emotions, take charge of your healthcare. It doesn't have to be cancer, but you're the one with skin in the game. If you abdicate everything to someone who has an alphabet soup behind their name, you're not going to fare well. And finally, have a reason to live.
I love that. I love all you're doing. I really appreciate your time. If anybody's listening to this, you can go to normanplotkin.com. That's Plotkin. And on there, they can book a session. They can get in touch with you. They can read your blog. You have your books on Amazon. This is great stuff.
Thank you. Really appreciate the opportunity. You know, I want to go tell it to the mountain, because I've found something that is my passion and my soul's purpose.
It sounds a lot more exciting than lobbying. Maybe you can use your hypnotherapy to hypnotize these politicians and get them all on the same page.
You know, the funny thing is, I didn't realize I was doing conversational hypnosis then, I was doing it and I didn't even know what I was doing, you know? So I don't know if there's any help for them these days, but they sure could use it.
Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.